Morning, everyone. How are we all today? I hope you're all well. I'm a wee bit off, a wee bit worse than yesterday morning, but we've had about 2 paracetamol. We'll soldier on as usual. Okay, let's have a quick look, see who's in. Hello, Margaret Mackay, Christina Mackey, Stephen Bankier, Robert the Bruce, Leipzig, Alan Arnott, Rosie, Robert Ewan, Scott Haynes, Dexter Smith, Indy Scott Bryan, June Dalrymple, Desiree Brincat, Rosie McGregor, John O'Rourke, Jim Soar Alpa, Alistair, good morning. Stephen Bankier's given me a handy list. Robert Fowler, Aki's Mac, Kirsty Falls, Lorraine Logue, Last Braveheart, George Docherty, Martin the Hibby, Robert Bruce, Margaret Hitchens, Christina Mackey, Hammy who are there in Cuba, Linda, good morning, and Desiree. So I think we've covered almost everybody. Wee Bird's there, Anna Chisholm's there. I see the other Davies there and all. He's on about housing crisis in Glasgow. Today with asylum seekers, it's got more than that today. It's a much deeper problem than that, David. The amount of asylum seekers being allocated to the city doesn't help, but that's not the problem. We're going to get to the problem actually first up. So let's get this one underway. Indy Truck Davy out the truck now at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is currently 3 degrees. Horrible morning. Sort of mixture of drizzle and snow. Sorry about this, which is quite unusual. There is rain in the forecast and snow. Humidity is at 95%. Wind speed 14 to 26 mile an hour. And the sunset will be at 16:55, giving me 8 hours and 50 minutes of daylight today. And the pollen count Disney Coon. So that's it. Let's get on with this. First up this morning, we've got the Daily Rancid, and it's running a story which was first run at the end of April and in May 2025. It has more than 10,000 Scots kids now homeless. National disgrace. Well, since David's on homeless and all this morning, this isn't a problem that has just developed over the last 10 years or 18 years of an SNP administration. This problem goes all the way back to before devolution, to the Thatcher days and the sell-off of council houses and the banning of replacing them like for like. And as we went forward from then, and at the time of devolution came around, 98, 99, as England wasn't building any social housing, there were no consequentials so that Scotland could build social housing. And then, of course, with the Labour government holding back £1 billion at the end of its second administration, saying it couldn't find anything to spend it on. You go back to 1999 to 2006, 2007, £1 billion would have got you a lot of houses. Would have built you a lot of houses. They say it's a long-term problem, and we still have the same problem. While England isn't building social housing, there are no consequentials for Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland to do the same. So it's a long-term story. Now, the SNP government's done exactly what it could with its limited budget, and it's, I think, it's up to 140,000 affordable homes, 80,000 of which is for a social rent. So they're doing their best. We know consequentials. But the other thing about this headline is more than 10,000 Scots kids now homeless. Let me emphasise this. They are not homeless. They are in temporary accommodation. No ideal. But this paper would have you conjure up the idea that there's 10,000 kids roughing it on the streets. There isn't. Next up, we've got the scum. And what's the scum got for us this morning? Disgrace of Epstein's pals. Shame Andy booted out in night as cops probe second trafficked woman. And shamed Mandy quits Lords as police launch full criminal investigation. So Mandy and Andy are still making the headlines today. Right, next up's the Herald. What's the Herald got for us this morning? Number one A1s, is it? Mandelson and quit Lords as police probe misconduct. PM moves to strip Labour veteran of title amid fresh Epstein file revelations. Well, the only fresh thing that's come to light over the last couple of days was that Mandy and Epstein were plotting to get rid of Gordon Brown. Although I don't think it did take much plotting because it was a fucking halfway anyway. He was failing miserably in office. Right, next up, we've got The Guardian. The Guardian has Met investigation into Mandelson over alleged Epstein email leaks. So it's not going away. And what it says here, this is the interesting bit. Ex-business minister. Think about that. He was involved in insider trading, it looks like, with Epstein, and he was a business minister. Oh, very interesting. But I think that's more reason, I'm not sure. Right, down with The Guardian and up with the Daily Fail, and it's on the same story. There's a lot of them on the same story today. And the Daily Fail tells us Met launches criminal probe into Mandelson as Kemi pressures PM. Evidence that damns Labour's dark lord. Now that's an interesting one. Now why is it Labour's dark lord? Well, because Labour only have one dark lord. The Tories have stuffed the House of Lords that full of dark lords that they've stopped using the term. But he was always called a Dark Lord, spin doctor type character, along with Alistair Campbell. Right, so after The Guardian and The Fail, we have the Looney Rag The Express. What's that on this morning? The Looney Rag The Express tells us first member of royal family speaks out after Andrew features in released files. Edward calls to remember victims of evil Epstein. Interesting. And then a wee bit below it says evidence that damns the Dark Lord. But Edward's come out to say, let's remember the victims. And well, that's fair enough, two of them, at least two of them, or because of your brother. But the monarchy's done. Its credibility is shot. They should be quietly retired. Okay. Next up, we'll get the Times. One who's on it being on Mandy. Mandelson facing full criminal investigation. PM calls cops. Right. Peer to exit Lords amid claims and leaks to Epstein. Gordon Brown condemns inappropriate act or unpatriotic act. The interesting headline there for me is SNP using women as pawns in prison row. And this is down to Sarwar saying that he wouldn't allow transgender women into female prisons. But it would appear that Sarwar hasn't thought this through, because the term is transgender, and the idea is they're moving from one gender to the next. What happens when they have come to the end of the transition and have been surgically altered to become women? Is Sarwar going to stick them into a male prison? Is he? Has he never heard of rape? People don't seem to understand the terms transgender. It's about transitioning from one gender to another. And there are people who go halfway, and there are people who go the whole way. You can't put the people who went the whole way and been surgically reassigned into male prisons. You just can't. But it's not. It just, you can see where Labour's policy, their election strategy is coming from. They're looking at what the SNP have been criticised for in the past, and they're dragging it back out. And the newspapers will do the same thing. But Sarwar won't be putting all transgender females into male prisons, because some of them will have transgendered all the way and have been surgically reassigned. You cannot put those people into a male prison. You just can't. Right, next up we've got Tory Graph. It's on Monday and all this morning. Brown accuses Number 10 of cover-up. Now, what's this all about? Well, as I've already said, it would appear that Epstein and Mandy were trying to undermine Brown to get rid of him. It didn't need to. He was a duffer the minute he got in the office. But it just shows you how dirty and deceitful the Labour Party is. Right, next up we've got the National. And it tells us Charles must now face questions. Full disclosure needed from Palace as Andrew reported to police over trafficking allegations. And of course, there's a criminal probe into Mandelson over details passed to Epstein. What they need to do is verify that these details were leaked to Epstein and find out who he sold that information on to and how much they all made with it. Because at the time we were trying to recover from a banking crisis, and it would appear that Mandelson was undermining that recovery with market manipulation and insider trading. So the Palace should give up any information it has on the nefarious activities of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Next up, we'll get the I newspaper. And it has police investigate Mandelson after Number 10 hands over Epstein dossier. As the terminology is brilliant. Number 10 hands over Epstein dossier. So it would appear they already knew about the activities of Mr. Mandelson and Mr. Epstein. If they had a dossier own Epstein. It means they already knew about Randy Andy's nefarious activities with minors if there's an Epstein dossier. Interesting stuff. Be nice to know what's in the dossier. Maybe time for a Freedom of Information request. Right, next up, we'll get the Metro. Valentine's Day gift that strikes the perfect note, and Mandelson goes as Epstein crisis grows. Oh Lord. Number 10, met to call to begin crime investigation. Oh Lord. As I say, this dossier thing is interesting. It really is. Because if number 10 already a dossier on Epstein, there's a fair chance that the UK government did through the years has known about the activities of these people. So he was using private emails, was he, Graham? I don't know. But let's get rid of the Metro and we'll go up the Herald. Sorry, the Scotsman, we've already had the Herald. What's the Scotsman got for us this morning? Fury at reckless early release of hundreds more prisoners. Well, they'll try to generate fury. But the programme is ongoing. Thank you very much, Sir Larry. I think it's Sir Larry, I don't know. Yeah, my brother from another mother some treats. Aye, I will do. Thank you. Now, they say fury at reckless early release of hundreds more prisoners. Well, so far the ones that have been released, have they been a problem? Very few of them have been recalled. Very few of them have found themselves back in the nick. Now, it's an ongoing programme. When people get to the halfway mark or in a 4-year sentence, they will be considered for release. Or once they've done 40% of a 4-year sentence, they will be considered for release as long as they're not violent or sexual predators. And short-term prison sentences under 4 years just don't work anyway. All you're doing is sending them in there to get hardened as criminals. Mental. But, as I say, Justice Secretary tells us that the conviction rates mean that the prison population is too high. Okay. Which is a worry. But once again, when they're no building prisons elsewhere in the UK, you don't get consequentials. And it means you've got to take your infrastructure budget away from things like education, housing, and hospitals to build prisons. Just stop sentencing people with short sentences, unless it's violent. And even then, it has to be really serious. GBH or something. Otherwise, some sort of counselling might help. But we have to look at a different way of punishing people. We really must. Right, that leaves us just with the Star. So let's see what the Star's got for us today. Unfortunately, no comedy, no boffins, but quite a disturbing picture. So be prepared. And I was lying when I said no comedy. Cops probe Mandelson. You've let your pants down and you've let your country down. And it's the image of that young lady with her face blanked out, with Mandelson with a clipboard, standing in his jockeys, or his Ys, whatever they are. But that's it. That's it for the day. I'm going to go and lie down. I've got a fucking thumping headache. So, see you all tomorrow morning, 10:30. Don't be late, you'll be on the naughty step. Thanks to everybody who contributed to the food banks today. Thanks to the moderators for modding. Keep your eyes on the prize. The prize is May 2026. We're looking for an SNP majority. Let's hope we can do it. Bye for now.